Good afternoon, guys. Welcome back to the World Class Basics podcast. It's me, Tom Lowe, and I'm joined by Liam, Mr. PH Nutrition Holmes, Mr. Wade himself, Adam French, and we have our first guest. I'm very excited to introduce Chloe Salter as well. Say hello, guys.
Hey, Chloe, what's up, dude?
Woo, this is so exciting.
We have finally made a guest appearance, finally.
Guys, it's an absolute pleasure. We got our first guest. Chloe, thank you so much for joining us. Liam, I would just like you to intro Chloe, you know her very well. And then after that, I'm going to ask her some questions.
Oh, great stuff. Yeah, so we have Coach Chloe. She's joined the PH Nutrition team recently. She is a precision nutrition qualified coach. She's also a CrossFit coach based out of CrossFit Shapesmiths in London, and she PTs there as well. There's a bit of online coaching and nutrition. So, Chloe, just give us a really, really quick overview of your nutrition fitness journey, kind of where you started and how you've ended up over in London. Because so you've been here, there, and everywhere. Is that correct?
I've traveled about quite a bit. I was in the Middle East actually for the last 3 years and then came back when lockdown was a thing. So I've been back in the UK since March now.
Good stuff. Have we got a massive lag?
I think we got a lag, right?
I can hear you now. It's just disappeared and dropped out.
Okay.
Hold on.
No, we can edit, by the way. If it goes wrong, we just edit and chop it out. It doesn't matter.
I think it's my internet.
Guys,
it's normally Liam, the one with the...
It's normally me, mate. I'm looking crystal clear. Don't worry about that today. I logged in early, closed everything down. I was on it, mate. Nothing's happening today. None of the students, they've all gone home now, so my internet's good.
Oh, good time.
Is that back in, Chloe?
Yeah.
All right, there we go. Where do we get? You're kind of midway through what you've been up to in the last...
So if you want to start from me, basically saying, Chloe, how did you get here? Like, tell us about your fitness journey, and then, how have you ended up in London?
Yeah.
Okay. So I actually used to be super overweight when I was younger. I was 97 kilos at my heaviest, and I ended up losing a lot of weight in one go and realised how important it is to have a good diet and all the nutrition. I used to exercise loads. I used to spend hours on a cross trainer trying to lose weight, and it obviously never happened. So then I ended up finding CrossFit after I lost weight and realising that it's not just important to, be skinny or whatever, what girls want to be, but like eating to actually perform in the gym and looking after your body and stuff. So ended up doing CrossFit. I started at Dragon in Cardiff, and then I ended up moving to the Middle East, and then spent 3 years there. I was working in Kuwait and Abu Dhabi, which was awesome. They love their CrossFit out there. Worked with lots of women who obviously had, the same kind of issues I used to have with my weight. Helped a lot of women out there, and then came back here this year and ended up in London. So currently loving being in London. It's so nice to be back in the UK. And Shapes is an amazing gym. Love working there. Lots of cool people to work with. And yeah, and then obviously met Liam through Shapes, and now working on my nutrition and just loving it.
Absolutely crushing it, yeah. And one of the topics obviously the main topic we're going to talk about today is Chloe has been doing a lean gains study. So, really kind of tracking calories, macros, but setting her diet and training up to really, really kind of try and put on a bit of muscle mass and support her performance. So we're going to dive into that. But first, I'm going to pass you back over to our host, Mr. Tom Lowe.
Yeah, because that is really important. But to be honest, these 10 questions I got here, they're the most important. So,
they are.
Chloe, if you don't answer them within 10 seconds, I'm moving on. Okay. So, pressure's on. We got 10 to get through. Okay. Ready? Last meal on earth, what would it be?
Pancakes, bacon, and maple syrup.
Oh, straight in there.
Straight in. That's strong.
Number 2, do you like Marmite?
No.
You've either just got some fans or you lost them. Number 3, snatch or clean and jerk?
And snatch.
Snatch. Wow. Okay. I think you're probably in like 1% who say that. Number 4, bar muscle up, ring muscle up, or toes to bar.
Bar muscle up.
Nice. Okay. Number 5, favorite song.
Barcelona by Ed Sheeran. Dreaming of holidays.
Nice. Okay.
Nice.
There we go. Number 6, favorite film. Big question.
Oh, Role Models.
Whoa!
Such a good classic.
Right. This is why it takes me a while to say number 7. I hope everyone gets me here, but this is a big thing for me. Do you eat the Kit Kat finger, you snap it like one by one, or are you just a savage, you just bite the top off, all 4 at once?
I actually, the little like ridge of chocolate around the outside that's like the extra bit. I actually like nibble that off and then break it in half and then eat that.
Yes, special answer number 3. That is it. That's it.
Because I put in brackets as a question, do you bite the whole thing in brackets like a psychopath? But that's like a serial killer psychopath. That's great.
Yeah. I'll keep this file as evidence in the future. The court of law. Is she a psychopath? Yes, she is. We've got it evidence to prove.
I don't mind. Number 8. How many sugars in tea? In a cup of tea?
0.
Yes, great answer. Proper. Number 9. Favorite CrossFit athlete?
Oh, Patrick Vellner, because he's so cute. That's the only reason.
Yeah, he is really cute.
Yeah.
So he went down at WIT before lockdown. It was hilarious. He was literally doing his training, and then mid-set, he was studying for his, I forgot what exam he was trying to pass. He literally would put down his barbell, and he would go down, book out, and he would start studying. And we got interrupted, but it just blew my mind that he could be so laser focused in both.
This is why he's the best.
I was there. He was studying for an osteopathic. I think he was training to be an osteopath or chiropractor. He was training he had an exam the next day.
Unbelievable. And then last one. This is probably the most important one. When you go to brush your teeth, do you wet the toothbrush first, then the toothpaste, or do you put the toothpaste on and then wet it all?
Toothpaste, then wet.
Yeah. She's brought it back.
Yeah. See, I've had many arguments about that before, Okay.
Have you ever had someone who does both?
What do you mean?
Wet the toothbrush, put the toothpaste on, then wet it again.
That's why we got a water shortage. What the hell's that about?
Just saying, mate. If you've had a lot of arguments, I'd get into an argument if someone did that. I'd be like, "There's no point. What are you doing?"
That's a madness, no?
That's madness.
Well, I'm not gonna lie. You've passed with flying colours there. That was fun.
Very good.
First ever Q&A done.
Okay, I suppose we should get on to the serious stuff. So let's dive into your journey and your study, Chloe, on the League Gains plan. I suppose it doesn't really matter who we go to first. Liam, do you want to kick it off with some questions?
Yeah, I guess I'll kind of give a bit of a background for the listener. First of all, so when Chloe came on as a nutrition coach, we sat down and kind of mapped out maybe something for her to focus on in terms of so content for the blog or whatever. But she actually was like, I'm really in a phase now where I want to kind of really push my training, and so we spoke about female nutrition and how it's actually really it's really underrepresented in the research, and there's not a lot of insight in terms of muscle gain and performance from a kind of female training and nutrition point of view. So we've decided to map out a bit of a case study, and Chloe's kind of really kind of got her teeth into it and run with it. And every Sunday we've been releasing a blog article. She's been updating her progress, and we put it on there. But there's also been each week a topic that we covered, and she's delved into the research and tried to kind of slant it to obviously females, give a bit of an insight for a lot of people that are training. But it's been a really great experience for us to kind of see you go through this. So for me, I would be like, look, just give people like some of the real kind of take homes in terms of like the positives, like some of the challenges that you've covered, from doing this over the last kind of 8 weeks.
So biggest challenge, I think, was actually like the mental side of it. Like, it's quite difficult to actually be intentionally eating more. And I think as women, we're always there's this like underlying thing that we shouldn't actually be eating enough to put on weight. We should actually be trying to kind of constantly lose weight. So it was really challenging to actually know that I was kind of forcing extra calories down myself to gain weight, and stepping on the scales and thinking I want that number to go up instead of automatically wanting it to go down. In terms of like one of the best things that came out of it was just performance. Like I couldn't believe, even just from the first week, obviously it was a bit of a placebo effect as well, but just the levels of performance in my training just going up, like lifts getting heavier, like endurance, even things like gymnastics and stuff that you wouldn't necessarily weight gain. Just everything just felt good. And even when I didn't have that kind of mental, like, oh, I don't want to train today, I would still perform at the level I should have been performing. So a couple of like, good things there to come out of it.
Yeah, and actually you lost weight. That's correct, on the first couple of weeks, even though you increased your calories by, above maintenance. So we know you did a bit of a period of figuring out your maintenance calories, actually, which is the most recent blog is up about that. But then they actually increased your calories and you lost weight, correct?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I lost maybe 2 kilos in like a week or something crazy. Like obviously, I've got to account for fluctuations and stuff, but it was, I think, just crazy. Like I actually stepped on the scales and shouted at the scales. I was like, no, because I don't want to lose weight. I want to gain weight. But then I also had a kind of like, people like, did you put on weight yet? I was like, no. And I'm eating more so yeah, that was really interesting.
Yeah, it's something as well. One of our other coaches did a similar thing and they lost weight. But how you did it was you were eating a lot more of the correct things. This was we named it lean gains. This is not a dirty bulk, was it? It wasn't like just consume as many calories as you can to try and stick on as much mass as possible. It was about fueling your training. And did you find that some of the members and some of the, we had some incredible feedback from the blogs, but did people, come to you and say like, oh, I've been doing similar things, or getting kind of insight from your blog and applying it to themselves?
Yeah, definitely. I actually had a couple of women come up to me and say that they were like, oh, I ate before my workout. And I was like, yes, you should be eating before your workout. And their minds were like blown. They were like, oh, well, you said on your blog that you ate, before, during and after, and you perform better. And then they were like, oh, I went and did lifting class. I ate before my lifting class and felt loads better. So I think a lot of people realized, they were like, oh, I do need to fuel for the work required. Like I can't just rely on, and you have to get the energy from somewhere. So a lot of people were saying that, and a lot of people actually were saying about how they were like, oh, I thought I could just eat burgers and still perform. And it's like, well, no, you have to eat the right things. So
yeah, definitely. Lads, Tom, have you trained any females who have kind of, similar kind of experience, maybe not eating enough, and when they've, been educated in terms of like fueling their workouts correctly, maybe seen a bit of a real positive effect?
Yeah, that exactly that was happening, is that they were kind of basically fasting or starving themselves before a session, and the sessions, it was really hard to get them to perform, and you could tell it was just a drag. So try, after especially speaking with you about trying to add a bit of fuel pre-session, and as soon as we started doing that, you could just see the enjoyment, and then their performance levels went through them. And nothing was happening. They weren't putting on a shitload of weight. It just, you have to try and change people's mindset, because in their mind, if they're trying to lose weight, they can't, why am I eating before a session? It just doesn't register. No, I've seen some fantastic things, especially from that side of things.
Chloe, what was the most common questions that people have asked you throughout the study? Have you had recurring questions that have come up, or have they all been completely random?
I've had quite a lot of different questions, but probably the one that I've had the most of was, aren't you sick of eating so much food? And I unfortunately no, like I can't get sick of eating food. I love to eat, so it wasn't an issue for me. It was maybe an issue when the calories got plus 3,000, but in the first couple of weeks I was like, this is amazing, I love it, so
it's a hard thing though, isn't it, Chloe, to maybe kind of give us a bit of an insight in terms of the psychological aspect of mentally trying to eat that much, or trusting the process. Like, we've calculated the calories and, we put a plan in place, but actually trusting what, not necessarily I said, but what we've kind of set up, it's quite hard, isn't it, to be like, is this the correct thing to do? Am I meant to be eating 3,000 calories, or certain times? Although you didn't struggle to eat that much food, like, did you ever question yourself at times to be like, should I be doing this? Like, is this the right thing to be doing?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Like, especially because the food, like, I obviously did, like, near the end, I did struggle to eat more food, but because it was, whole unprocessed food, it is hard to eat a lot of it as well. So I did find that I was feeling heavy, like super heavy, super bloated, like, it was a lot of protein. Like, I was feeling so full all the time, and then I'd feel heavy and just not, like lean and lithe and like skinny and lovely. Like, I just felt bleh, and like muscular as well, because you're putting on this food, you're training a lot, and I was, people were saying I was looking more jacked around my shoulders and stuff, and you feel a bit muscular. And when people go, women especially, they go, oh, you don't want to get bulky, and it's like I felt like I was getting bulky, but then I'd look in videos and I was like, you're not bulky, chill out. So yeah, definitely, like, in terms of feeling heavy and mentally like, oh well, I still have 2 more meals to eat, but I'm full, bloated.
Just to give the listeners an idea, how often were you training a week? What was your breakdown?
So I did train I'd have one full rest day, and then the other days I would train once or twice a day. So twice a day, maybe 4 days a week, and once the other times. So
awesome. There we go. Yeah, because I'm sure people are wondering about that. Then how often was she training? She's eating 3,000 calories like doing. Yeah. Okay. Cool.
Was that more? Is that more than usual, Chloe? Was that's just how you normally train, and then you just added calories?
I do train close to that amount anyway, but I found that because I had more energy available, I did want to train more. Like, my body was like, let's go. I was wake up in the morning, like, let's go to the gym. I'd finish a training session and be like, let's do more. So having that energy available, I did train more than I would normally, for sure.
Cool.
That's basically answered one of my questions, because I put, how did you find the Lean Gains program affected your training? So you felt fueled and you felt like you could train a lot more. Is that fair to say? Yeah,
definitely. And it's the mental thing as well. Like, I think it's, as a big payoff as well, when your body is in a surplus, you do even mentally feel more ready to train and more ready to take on things, because it's so different to just being when you're in a deficit and your body's like, oh, I don't want to do anything, I just want to chill out. But when you have that energy available, you want to use it. So yeah, for sure. Like, I was like, let's do everything, let's do all the training. So
yeah, we talk a lot about are you thriving or surviving? Like, in people paying a lot of money to train in in CrossFit gyms and boutiques, and actually, are you turning up to sessions, or dreading turning up to sessions even, and just getting through? Like, you're surviving through these. Now, obviously, the listeners aren't maybe not going to be training 8 to 9 times a week. They might be training 1 hour a day. So obviously this is all needs to be scaled down, but the principles still apply, like eating to perform, making sure that you're going to sessions feeling good. And actually, like you said, I was enjoying it, like the enjoyment factor come back. And that's a huge thing, I think, for a lot of females and males as well. But sometimes we can see, maybe training is a bit of a stress, and, actually it's something, we should enjoy. Eating a little bit more, like you say, the more you eat, the more you want to move. So, I think that's a really powerful thing for me, that a lot of people can be taking home for this, to be maybe, like you say, just if you are surviving through sessions, it's just to look at it and maybe just even chuck a tiny bit in pre-workout, and see the difference that will make. So I definitely think that, that's been a massive eye-opener, hopefully, for a lot of people that have been following you.
Yeah, definitely. I think as well, like, in terms of fueling for the work required, I think people don't realize that they actually, if they're training, they do need to fuel for that training. It's not just, you fuel for your day and you eat, the calories you should, just to do all your things you are doing throughout the day anyway. But then training is an extra thing on top. Like, you need to have the energy available to perform, the work required. So I think, people think that, like, they're exercising to be in like a deficit, or exercising to lose weight or burn energy, but it's like, well, no, you want to like perform, so you're going to actually have to fuel that separately as well.
I'm going to go. Can I go?
Tom, you can go now. Yeah.
Thanks, Dad. So
I am older than you, despite. looking about 15.
Despite me and Liam looking like we're 50.
I've got a few years on you, bro. You're doing worse than me. What are you still 28, 29? I'm at 35.
I'm 30 in January for everyone listening. January 12th. I like cake. Please send it. No,
Like dressing up.
I do like dressing up. No, I don't want any more fancy dress. Anyway,
Fancy dress party.
Right, Chloe. So let's talk the lean gains diet with the menstrual cycle. You know, how did you find it on the lean gains diet? How did you feel versus when you're off it? Like, was there a big drop? We could talk about this for a very long time. I think this is a whole subject in itself. But just compare when you were not on the diet versus when you were. If that makes sense. Like, was that okay?
Yeah, so in terms of like in the menstrual cycle, in the times that, you know, you do have that time where you actually feel like you have more energy due to like, you know, the hormones at that time. And then you have that time where you feel lower and you might need like a deload or something. I did definitely notice in that second phase where I felt a bit lower, like, but then I still performed, even though I kind of went into the gym feeling a bit like tired, I would still perform at the right level. So mentally, maybe I felt a little bit lower, but then because I had enough fuel, I could still perform well. I did end up taking like a deload week at some points as well, just because it works out so good to do that mentally as well at that time. And also, of course, I did find with the extra food, because I was eating more, you get that point in your menstrual cycle where you do want to eat more due to the hormones, and I ended up overeating even more than I normally would. So that's the only thing, like I definitely overate in that point. And then that did obviously combine when I wasn't training as much. So, you know, I found that that's where I gained a little bit of extra weight too. So, yeah.
That's really interesting. Liam, back to you.
Yeah, I was just going to say, we are going to talk about eating and training around the menstrual cycle in future podcasts for sure. But it's very interesting that you said about that you felt a little bit bloated, that you felt, you know, at times where it was a little bit too much food. Now, when you know, for females, when they go through the menstrual cycle, like say the luteal phase, that will maybe when you can really push it and actually you want to eat that much food, you know, that's when you should be like really fueling performance and really kind of pushing yourself, and then, you know, adjusting for the, you know, for the second part of the month. But like you said, that you can offset this by manipulating your nutrition. For me, do females need to be focusing on doing this? Like, do you think that actually they can get benefits of eating, you know, or being aware of when they feel kind of low and when they feel kind of like energized, and maybe kind of manipulate nutrition around that?
Yeah, definitely. I think in that phase, in that first phase where your estrogen levels are higher and you've got that energy and you feel great, that's the time to like smash the training out the park and like work really hard. But then obviously, you know, in that second phase when you maybe are feeling a little bit lower, that's the time to take it easy, take a deload. I think it's a good, you know, a good way to actually implement those kind of like cycles in your training, because obviously you can't be all in all the time. You do need to have that downtime. So it's a really good time to give your body a bit of love and recover in that time as well. Yeah,
definitely. I'm glad you said like you can't be all in all the time. Like I've just done a video on about that, like why you should be like a Premier League footballer. Like there's structured times of the year when you need to take a little bit of a deload. So for listeners, or females especially, like why don't you like say push hard for 2 or 3 weeks a month and maybe take it off a little bit, you know, at other times, and work on stuff that's a little bit lower intensity, a little bit more skill based, and like I say, you have that kind of undulation, and that's going to really help you to kind of progress. And I think we can all be guilty of just going all in all the time. So yeah, that was a big thing. So look, for me, you obviously can't continually keep eating more and more and more and more and more. So what's the setup at the moment? Like what have you done? How have you changed things recently? You know, and what's the next steps?
So obviously at the moment with everything, you know, the gym's closed and everything, I'm moving a lot less and I'm not on my feet coaching all day. So I'm definitely burning a lot less energy. I have no idea how 2 weeks ago I was eating 3,000 calories a day, because now the thought of that, I'm like, oh, I can't, because obviously my energy expenditure is a lot lower. So I have decreased my calories to what I think is my maintenance. And I'm going to just keep track of that for a couple of weeks and see if I need to up or down just to stay at the weight I'm at. Because I obviously don't want to lose the gains.
Yeah.
The gains. Even though your kind of first, as a woman, like your first thought is to be like, oh my God, I've put on weight, I need to lose it. Like, no, that's not how it is. You need to maintain it now. You've worked hard to get it. So that's the focus now.
Just for the listeners as well, because I know like we all have an idea about this, but how are you tracking your calories, what your and your macros? How are you doing that? Is it froze?
So I track all my food on MyFitnessPal, and then I adjust based on my weight as well. So I obviously weigh myself, and then I tend to take like an average weight throughout the week. So I weigh myself 3 times a week, and then see if my weight's going up or down, and then track my calories and see how many I'm eating. And if that's, if I'm gaining weight, I need to drop a little bit, or if I'm losing weight, I might need to look at adding in some more calories. And then I tend to if I'm training, I tend to always just have a written rule of just, I'm going to have this many carbs around my training. And if I train again, then I'll have the carbs again. So it can be that simple. I think people don't realize that, you need to listen to your body. And if you feel like you need to eat more, then you probably do, or you need to eat less, then you probably do. So
yeah, I'm so glad you said about MyFitnessPal. Then one of the hardest things for me to do to get my clients to do is to get them to track. They find it a nose and a drag, and it's like pulling teeth. Be honest, do you find that process of just, because I personally think it's quite easy now. You just literally scan a barcode with a lot of things. Do you find it easier? So and like, are you doing it at night time? How do you go about that? And how long does it take you? I just want people to understand it's not that bad.
Yeah, so I remember when I first started tracking my food on there, I had no idea what was going on, and it was a nightmare. Like, I was like, how do people do this? And then it does, because you can do it as intense or not as you want it. You could just scan a barcode on something and be like, that would be about right. Or you can be super, you can weigh it out and everything on your scales. But I find it now, I just do it as I go, and then you can't go wrong. Just every time you eat, put it in, because I talk to clients and I ask them what they've eaten, and they've put it in MyFitnessPal, but they've not done it till the end of the day. And they're like, oh, I only ate this many calories. I'm like, I don't think you did. I think you might have eaten a little bit more. So do it as you go. And like, I think as well, don't be too strict with it is another thing as well, because you just start going a bit crazy if you're too intense on it.
Does your Whoop not count exactly what you eat, Tom?
Mate, my Whoop thinks there's something wrong with me. I'm telling you. It's like I'm always moving, right? And it's just like your day strain's like 20 all the time, but I'm on my feet from minute 1 to minute finish. So
yeah.
How do you get, my day strain is always like so low. I don't understand how, and my calories, it's like, oh, you've burnt 1,600 calories a day. I'm like, that's a lie. Like, how do you get so many calories burnt on there?
Have you seen him at 6 a.m. on the coffee mornings? Bouncing around his flat at 6 a.m. No wonder his day strain's high. He starts at 100 mile an hour.
Yeah, that's what I need to do.
Start a vigorous dance routine at 6 a.m. The day pretty much follows suit until about 9 p.m.
He actually has about 6,000 milligrams of caffeine a day as well, which keeps his heart rate on point.
Absolutely jacked heart rate.
Is that caffeine?
And it's a perfect plug for Nocco. Thank you, Nocco, being taking me on board.
Are you drinking caffeine now, in this time of the day?
Just here.
Just product placement, bud.
And I do not drink caffeine after 4 p.m. Shit bust.
Okay.
Unless for some kind of competition. Never, ever, ever, ever.
Yeah,
so Chloe, do you use a fitness tracker then? Do you use Whoop?
Yeah, I've just started using Whoop. I used to have an Apple Watch, but I found that Apple Watch like grossly overestimates everything. It was telling me I was burning a crazy amount of calories. But then Whoop, I've only just started using it, but I think I love it for the sleep. I love seeing sleep 100%. I'm like, yes, like I geek out about the sleep.
Yeah.
Definitely.
We've got another Whoop geek on. Me and Liam are still to be convinced, but
mate, I ain't putting Whoop on now. I'd be like, dude, you're on death's door. You had 2 hours sleep last night. Don't train. Don't do anything. Go back to bed. I'll be like,
yeah, don't hold off on the Whoop for a while.
Yeah, I'll give it 6 months.
Baby Whoop, yeah.
Oh, that's awesome. So, Chloe, post lockdown, what happens next for you in terms of what kind of plan are you going to go on to, and how's your training going to look? Are you going to start to step it up again, or?
Yeah, definitely, because we've got, obviously the Open is coming up in February, and because there haven't been many opportunities this year to, compete, so it'll be really nice to have something to aim for. So I'm going to start aiming for that as soon as I can. But yeah, just just try and maintain as well as I can. Now I've kind of put on the weight, I want to keep it and make the most of it and keep getting stronger.
Amazing.
Love that.
Liam, Adam, have you got any other questions you'd like to add?
I've got a final question. It's not approved, but don't worry, lads, it's not that bad.
Oh, geez.
Oh no! Oh no!
So,
I'm just going to
he's gone. All the other listeners are just going to hang up now. The question was, say you've got a girl coming to you now and says, I want to do what you've done. What would your top sort of 2 or 3 tips be to successfully complete the 6 to 8 weeks, now knowing what you know?
I would say, like, sort out your mental game first. Like, don't be too hard on yourself about anything, because it's, you know, it's so easy to kind of be scared to put on weight, and then just have the goal in mind of what your body can do and not what your body looks like. So just so important to think, you know, I can lift this weight that I couldn't lift before. So have that in your mind. Make sure you've got a really good setup in terms of the food you can have available to you. So don't have things that you're easily going to overeat to the point, you know, that are unhealthy. Like, you don't want to be overdoing it on burgers and milkshakes and stuff from Five Guys. You want to have a good base of really good foods, whole unprocessed foods that are going to make you feel good, because you could put on the weight with the shitty food, but then it's not going to make you feel any good in the gym, is it? So, and then just take it slow, like take it really slow. Don't expect to see results straight away, and just kind of trust in the process. And just have that thought in the back of your mind that it's like kilos going on for a purpose. Like, you know, your kilos are going on, you can lift more weight and work harder. So I think having that in mind all the time is a really big thing to have as well.
So you say you're heavier now weight-wise. Is that an increase in both muscle and fat?
Yeah, so I actually increased, I've ended up kind of using different scales, but the average kind of thing I got is like nearly a whole kilo of muscle and then a little bit of body fat alongside that. My body fat percentage is actually back to where it was when I started, but then my weight is heavier, so I've put on a little bit of both. But like, in terms of, I can definitely feel both things on there. So like, you know, it's worked out pretty well.
Yeah. For female listeners, like you say, 1 kilo, you know, we think that sometimes I've had these conversations with females to think that, oh, they're going to eat maybe even a little bit more, maybe 250 calories or 200 calories in a surplus to help fuel their training. But all of a sudden they're going to get bulky and stick on 4 or 5 kilos. Whereas actually you've been super dedicated for 2 months with a high level of training, structured, and it's been 1 kilo. You know, that in the grand scheme of things, that's an incredible, like, for people, that is an incredible gain of 1 kilo of you know, of pure muscle is a fantastic result. But for a lot of, you know, females to stick on 1 kilo of weight, of usable weight, it really isn't that much. And that kind of like psychological, you know, aspect of, I'm going to get bulky, I will put on 4 or 5 kilos, you know, if it's structured in the correct way, and like you say, like you've done it, you don't see this like dirty bulk, like you say. It's from the right types of foods at the right times for the right work that you know that you're doing, and that's what people can, you know, really focus on. So yeah, it's great to see that you're now in this, in, you know, stronger, leaner, faster, quicker, more powerful, ready for the Open. PH coaches are going to take over in the Open, by the way. Tom McClure's fit, Dex is absolutely flying, and then I'm just not going to enter.
Bring the average down.
Ian, if you come train with me again, then you'll be fine.
Oh mate, Boris ain't helping me out, is he? I was back in the game. I was back snatching 75 kilos with Chloe the other day, and then he's like, nope, lockdown.
No. Hey, let's finish on one light hard question then, Chloe. What if the Open first event? What would you like it to be?
Oh my god, like some gymnastics, maybe like 30 bar muscle-ups for time, straight into like the heaviest snatch you could do. I know that would never come up, but that would be epic. Like heavy lift.
Love that.
Oh Jesus, what is wrong with you?
You wouldn't have said that 6 weeks ago.
No, yeah, exactly, yeah.
To be honest though, if you got that unlocked, you'd probably win, because I don't think many people have got any way to be doing snatches and bar muscle ups at the moment. So if that comes in, you are made.
Yeah. T, what would you want?
Huh?
What do you want? Would you want calories and roll on the row and ab roll ups?
5K run, sub 18, and then deadlift, 1 rep max, boff.
Oh.
220, boom.
Nice.
What about you, Adam? Surfing for time? What would you do?
Yeah.
It was the longest wave.
The longest wave, yeah.
Well, my from the skateboard days, my right leg is super strong at the moment compared to my left leg. So I'm going to say right-legged pistol squats for time 100. No left leg, just the right leg.
On my skateboarding days, like he was a pro back in the day.
That sounds like a cash.
Chloe, don't listen to these two. I was at least semi-professional skateboarder.
Oh, wicked. Right, guys, let's wrap it up before we go off on another tangent there. I just want to say a massive thank you to Chloe. Guys, I thought that was absolutely amazing.
Yeah, brilliant.
Some of the advice you've given there, I think it's going to really help people. So let's just have a round of applause. I don't even know how round of applause works on the pod.
Let's zoom it, yeah. Let's zoom, yeah.
Guys, email in, because our next pod is going to be some quick fire questions with myself, Liam and Adam. So that's info@worldclassbasics.com. Any questions you would like us to answer, we'll do it. So just get those in and we'll take care of that. But that's all we got for you today. We're going to get more guests on, and we can't wait for some face-to-face visits. We're just waiting for Boris to sanction that. But until then, guys, train well, stay well, and we'll speak and see you soon. See you later.
Bye, guys and girls. Bye.
Boom.
I didn't do the thing. Liam, come on. We forgot about that. Right,